locked and loaded. I got 3 White Claws ready to go and a head full of bad memories.
Oh, I was meaning to ask you about something.
Uh-oh.
Someone, Meggie, you were almost killed by, oh shit, who was it?
Joey Fatone.
Yeah, what the hell's that about?
Oh, I put the story up, but I'll give you, if you want, I'll give you the story. We can include it on the Bar Talk podcast.
Oh, welcome back to the Bar Talk podcast. This is Andy. I'm your host. We're here with Dan Mahoney, Fish. Hey, Jordan, so I heard you were almost killed by Joey Fatone.
Yeah, so let's fast forward here. So the year is probably like 2011. It's before Speedwell opened, and my buddies and I used to go to Foxwoods like once every few months and just blow off some steam. We'd get a room. We'd go drinking. We'd hit the clubs, bunch of degenerate single dudes. In fact, I think I was already seeing my then girlfriend, now wife, Yun, but I just like to gamble and get drunk with my buddies. So anyway, so they were filming Let's Make a Deal. I believe that was the show he was hosting at the time at Foxwoods. So Joey Fatone and his crew were kind of tearing it up. He was staying there that night too. So it was routine around like 3 or 4 a.m. So like once you like really browned out, to go to Fuddruckers, get a burger and a giant soda, head back to the room and just kind of drunk eat and make a big sloppy mess of yourself. So that was we all get separated, whatever, and I go to Fuddruckers. I know I'm eventually going to catch up with the guys later and grab myself a giant burger with way too much condiments on it. And I'm heading back to my room, and I'm at the top of like these stairs to go through the casino and back up to the hotel, and I'm balancing like this 40-ounce cup on the top of my to-go container and just hammered drunk, totally disoriented. And right when I get to the top step, boom, Joey Fatone comes running up the stairs at full speed, shoulder checks me. So I spin all the way around, and I'm thinking I'm going to fall backwards down the stairs now at this point because A, I'm hammered, B, I was right at the top step. But I managed to not spill my drink, not fall down the stairs, but he just kept running. And one of his buddies was like running up the escalator at the same time. So I think they were like racing. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh, that was you. You're Joey Fatone. But I got back to the room. I'm like, holy shit, I just almost got murdered by fucking Joey Fatone. Drunk ass Joey Fatone running up the stairs at full speed. He's a lot bigger in person. Let me tell you, like, he was the fat one for a reason, man. But yeah, that's my story. Everybody always asks me the most famous person I ever met, and that's really the most famous person besides Daisuke Matsuzaka, and he nearly killed me.
Daisuke nearly killed you too?
No, Daisuke was awesome. He just he signed an autograph for me when he wasn't supposed to. He was getting yelled at by his PR people, but he didn't understand English, so they weren't really getting through.
I thought you said he almost killed you from all those fucking walks he gave you all the time.
Yeah, I was a heart attack watching the pitch. Yeah, I guess you could say he did almost fucking kill me. See, Fish gets it. Andy doesn't care.
I know what walks are. It's when you
don't know what
from...
Daisuke is.
Yeah, I do. Like, they made a big, huge... You could not live in this area and not know who that guy is.
Proud of you. Good job.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
You knew who Joey Fatone was, though.
That's supposed to be not call right now.
Just so any listeners who have tuned in and been like, what the fuck is this all about? This is the Bar Talk podcast where we talk about bar and restaurant life. I just really had to get that story. So we're here with Jordan Chap of the Speedwell, Dan Mahoney of Stats, Fish of Inebriart, and myself, I'm Andy. We're here to talk about, the restaurant life, and, there's no way to do it, but, I mean, you can't have a show like this and not be talking about COVID right now. But luckily, we are in one of the few areas that are kind of on the downturn, and places are starting to open up, and we have outdoor seating. We just started indoor seating. So how's it been going so far? I mean, Jordan's actually sitting outside his restaurant right now. So when you hear him repeatedly say, hey, what's up? How's it going? He's not like losing his mind.
I kind of set myself up for failure, or I guess this podcast up for failure today, because I'm like Mr. Rogers sitting on my porch right now, waving at everybody that walks by because I haven't seen him in 3 months. But yeah, I'm set up outside, sort of like I'm going to take advantage of it. They closed down our main street to a one-way, so now we can use the sidewalk in front of the building for outdoor seating. And for anyone that's not in Massachusetts, that's sort of a big breakthrough for us. Massachusetts does not usually allow you to use sidewalks and such.
They don't let you have in Massachusetts.
No, we are the Taxachusetts, the no fun police, all the above. Everything's super regulated, but they're I gotta say, man, the town of Plymouth, Mass, has been super proactive about getting shit done. And they turned downtown to a one-way so people can walk in the street and we can use the whole sidewalk for tables. So I was nice enough to, and I'm going to plug it because it was a donation. There's a local furniture company, outdoor furniture company by the name of Sons, which the owner is a drinking buddy of mine, and he donated all our furniture. So we didn't have to take another expense in a time when I'm bringing in money, and I'm taking advantage of it. I'm going to use the shit out of these tables.
And it looks much nicer, Jordan. When you guys first opened, you were out on the sidewalk, but it was, I'll say, cramped.
Oh, it was, so we could only use half the sidewalk because you needed to have, before the street was in one way, you needed to have somewhere for people to walk, obviously.
And you were like the narrowest part of the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah. And I got 3 street signs. And I have a handicap sign, I have a one-way sign, and I have a street sign all out in front of my building. So I'm trying to gap tables 6 feet apart while not blocking the handicap curb cut, while not blocking the entrances to the yoga studio upstairs, right, and then my entrance. I ended up with 3 tiny tables they're like little planter stands, and then black folding chairs that I use for video game nights here, or I used to. And it was embarrassing. I almost felt guilty putting it out. It made downtown look like shit. But yeah, now, I was going to take advantage of it. We used it kind of as a waiting area for the inside. People were able to drink outside. It was pretty cool. But this is so much better. 3 real tables, 4 chairs at each, umbrellas, a little less embarrassing. So we even got these little white picket fences around, which is cool. You guys can't see them, but it looks like I know what I'm doing.
And sorry, Dan, what do you got going on up in Boston?
We lucked out. The city of Boston was really quick to let anyone, if you had space to use, they pretty much gave you a permit day one. So we had a back parking lot that was usually just for management staff and the kitchen staff. So we turned up. We have 30 something tables outside, and it's been awesome for us. It's been ridiculous. I think we had a 4-hour wait every day last week.
Wow.
And it's just a creature. But I think, to Jordan's point, as a whole, Massachusetts is trying to do right by the restaurant people that they've kind of fucked over a little bit in the beginning. So they really, if you had space, like a parking lot, you got a permit that day, I think. And now there are a lot of towns that are doing what Jordan said. It's they're making as much sidewalk and outdoor seating. If you go to the North End in Boston, that's the tiniest neighborhood in the world. It's packed with restaurant stuff, and they pretty much can't even drive down the streets anymore. It's all restaurant seating and stuff out there. So it's been good for us.
Yeah, yours is wild. I saw the picture. You guys have rows of picnic tables and umbrellas and shit, right?
Yeah, we did picnic tables. So because obviously the regulations, you can only have 6 people max to a table. If you have loose chairs all around, so you're going to be fighting with people I have 7, I have this, and you can't
people move shit around, yeah.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
So we figured for us, it's the least amount of hassle. It came out really good, too. It
looked fantastic. It looked organized. It looked sort of like an outdoor beer garden. I was super impressed. And you guys were the first ones I saw really jump on. I don't know where the hell you got all those picnic tables. They're impossible to find right now. So
we bought them all. That's why.
Yeah. And you can't even buy them right now. It's fucking ridiculous. You guys weren't the only ones to think that, but you were one of the first ones I've seen to act on it. So what's up, guys?
Yeah, those picnic tables lodged in the restaurant a week before we were allowed to open. So as soon as we heard that we might be able to do it, we're all right, well, let's buy them all, because we knew that was going to happen. So credit to the owners of my work. They had a lot of foresight and just jumped on it and kind of took the gamble that we were going to get the permit, and it worked out. Because now you can't find umbrella stands, you can't find picnic tables, you can't find any patio furniture, you can't find shit.
I love that you're saying that. So I was saying how I have umbrellas, and Gabriel at Sons actually doesn't carry tabletop umbrellas. Everything he sells is super luxury, whatever, and everything's usually connected, or it's a big canopy or stuff like that. He does canopies. Yeah. This is for people with money. So the fact that I'm even sitting at it, I feel kind of, I don't know, not worthy. But I went out to go buy umbrellas yesterday because I'm on the sunny side of the street, and I went to Lowe's. I went to a couple local places. Nobody had any. So finally, I came across these tiki torch stands. So basically, if you have concrete and you can't put your tiki torches into the earth per se, you buy these like little cast iron stands and then beach umbrellas and cut the beach umbrellas in half and fucking put them in these and they're right on top of the table. And it's working. I got these little $20 beach umbrellas from Ocean State Job Lot, and
that's cheap. I mean, you need those things because you can have all else. If it's hot as shit and sunny, no one's gonna sit outside for more than like 10 minutes.
The first weekend everything opened up, I went to Second Wind, me and Fish actually, for a beer. Like 4 hours later, didn't really think much of it. Had the crazy ass sunburn for the next 3 days.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And it's. Do you think so? I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, "Well, the genie's out of the bottle." Do you think this is now the way things are going to be from now on, even when say next summer, God willing, everything's back to normal and everyone's happy and healthy, and Facebook is not toxic.
Facebook will always be toxic.
But do you foresee the town just being like, oh, that seemed to work well, and let people set up on the sidewalk again? Do you think the one-way street? I mean, it's so early on the one-way street, but do you think, this is kind of like, we got our foot in the door, and now we're just going to be able to do this?
I mean, I know.
What do you think, Dan? Because you got your own property that you're using, so your restrictions on you.
The city won't let you do it, but they're very lenient. So we're hoping that if everything goes well and we follow their guidelines and all that stuff without any issues, that it'll be something we can do every summer. So that's kind of our hope, because it's for us. Like, it's just like where you guys are. The summer kind of sucks for us because there's the seaport with all the rooftop decks. There's all the outdoor bars, beer gardens, stuff. So we kind of quiet down after Memorial Day. But now we're busier than we are in a regular summer because we have the biggest outdoor patio in Boston right now. And probably not the biggest in Boston, but one of the bigger ones. And people want to sit outside. So hopefully that's a positive thing we can take from all this, is that the city sees that we can all do this and they'll let us keep going.
Yeah, I guess as another benefit, other than not spreading the virus, you know what I mean? Because Massachusetts, knock on wood, is doing an awesome job right now. The numbers are the lowest, I think, since early April, since we peaked. And that's huge. So obviously we're all trying to do the right thing because we don't want to close back up. But there's the other aspect that, hey, if we prove we can be adults when you gave us an inch and we didn't take a yard, I mean, there could be some long-term benefits to this. I don't know about the one way. I think Plymouth has got a lot of growing up to do when it comes to change. This all stuff has been encouraging, but it came with, it took a pandemic. People have been wanting to turn this into a one-way during the summer for about 15 years now. And it always got brushed aside, but it took a pandemic to try it out. I mean, so far so good, but I think there's going to be enough people in town that are being like, oh, that was only to save the restaurants, where we probably won't get this opportunity again. However, I am hoping that, maybe we can do it for a weekend or a couple weekends in the summer. And when we're doing events and we want to use outdoors, like we were talking about doing a long table event and other sort of festivals and stuff, that not all this outdoor stuff goes right down to the waterfront. Like Main and Court needs love too, and we've proven we can do it. The traffic's moving just fine. I'm watching it right now. I've got all my deliveries. I haven't had any issues with that. Parking is abundant, and granted, when there's not a pandemic, that might become an issue, but I don't know. It's Plymouth, so we're a little bit. It's America's hometown. We got to keep historical. Blah 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 blah. They didn't have Jersey barriers in 1600, so we can't put them outside. It's like I'm worried about that shit. But
and stuff.
I'm just curious to see how it pans out for the rest of the summer. I am the mindset of, well, let's give it a try and see how it works. But I'm also a person who lives downtown, so it's like if I have to, and I don't have to drive often, but sometimes I have to bring something with me, and I need to drive downtown, and it's like.
House in 3 months. You don't have to bring shit anywhere.
What's up?
You haven't left your house in 3 months. You have to bring
but I got to get beer to the house.
Buddy.
But it's like say I wanted to get to the craft beer cellar parking lot, I now have to go 8 blocks, because I have to go down Water Street and kind of loop around. It's a pain in the ass, but I mean, I am also the mindset of if it's a huge benefit, then a little bit of pain in the ass is fine.
True that.
Yeah, I mean, did you find out that you can cut up what is it, Lothrop or Brewster? I don't know the name.
Yeah.
You can cut up there. I mean, yeah, and you can also, yeah, it is tricky. This is an adjustment. It's definitely a pain in the ass. I come from like 45 minutes away down the South Coast in New Bedford, so I try to remind myself not to go that way because it costs me like another 10 minutes to loop all the way around sometimes.
Yeah.
But like I said, if it's temporary, I mean, I could see the people living down here having an issue. That I totally understand. That's a pain in the ass, especially if people are out late sitting at tables and being loud and shit like that, which I don't think there's been an issue with that yet. But
I was even thinking the people that live on the same side of the street as you.
I know.
You know,
right?
that they might be able to get a parking spot in front of their apartment, and now they're all gone.
Right.
So, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But you know, then you have places like our friends at Sukasa. I don't want to say this thing's been a big winner for them, but they put in a deck that they got the approval for, and that thing is remarkable, and that's not going away.
No, that's theirs now. And because, I mean, just because a place isn't located on the waterfront doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to have outdoor seating. It's their property. It's safe. It's to code. It's awesome. And they were extremely small. So they pretty much doubled their capacity.
Oh, absolutely.
And good on them, man, for making the investment and seeing the opportunity. I mean, if you're going to open up that door and give them the ability to at least show that they can do it, you can't take it away now. Like they've done everything, and that's the kind of thing you got to do, I guess.
And they didn't do it like, oh shit, let's hurry up and half-ass this and just get seat, asses and seats. Like it's really nice out there.
Yeah, and out front too. They, and I'm trying to, since I upgraded my furniture and stuff, do more. I'm putting speakers out here and stuff later. Some of the residents are gonna love that. And I'm gonna put some lights out. I'm gonna and what else? Oh, flower boxes to kind of make the place look nice, because I feel like I gotta class it up. I'm near Tatum, who has amazing flower boxes, and Kellogg Republic, and all these other guys that have amazing stuff. So I gotta class it up a little bit. But yeah, you gotta. I don't know. This is all new to me. Anybody actually, speaking of, do either of you guys know how to build a flower box? Because I'm having a hard time finding those too.
No.
Can we do an inebriate build your own flower box thing and then just let me keep everyone's?
Sure, let me find someone that knows how to do that shit.
Okay, perfect. Keep me up to date on that.
Yeah.
I'll send you my mom. My mom does all that shit.
Does she really?
Yeah.
I might. Yeah, absolutely. Is she bored?
Yeah.
See, I feel like you should make one out of beer cans or something, Jordan.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I don't want to be like the scumbag. You know what I mean? It's too natural. I got classy furniture. I got, Gabe dropped his furniture off. Now I got to clean myself up a little bit. I can't just get by on my laurels anymore.
Do you see that? So there's a kind of always, in Plymouth, it's a very friendly competition. I don't know how it is in Boston, Dan, but everyone's trying to have that special or that item that will bring people in. Is there kind of that pressure to make sure that your outside seating is as nice, if not nicer, than the guys across the street? We're pointing at you, Karl.
You got to look at this. It's not so much competing against each other, but you want people to walk into your patio and not be like, oh, look at this fold up chair and shit. Like, why? You got to give people a reason to go pick your option. I think like that, whether it's have nice flower boxes or there's a couple patios downtown that have that fake golf green grass, which I think is awesome looking.
Yeah.
And I think just something like that to kind of make it catch your eye. It's almost like how people used to do old beer taps back in the day when oh, let me get that beer because it's got a cool handle. Let me go to that patio. It's got a cool patio. So you don't want someone just sitting on a fucking park bench that you just put out there. They're not going to do that if they have other options.
Good point. You want it to be inviting, right? Because it's already uncomfortable enough that you're going out to eat after being stuck in the house for 3 months. You want it to at least be comfortable, and that's kind of goes back to what I was saying about I was the guy with the folding chairs and the planter stands. You know what I mean? Because that's all I could fit, and I almost didn't want to put them out. It was embarrassing, and we are in the hospitality industry, right? So we're trying to make people feel comfortable. And granted, we are scrapping and making the best of things right now, but you want to impress, man. You got to create an atmosphere, even if it's outside of your comfort zone. You got to find a way to make it work. I am extremely lucky enough that there was a local business in town that helped me out with that because spending money on furniture right now that I'm only going to use for a little while. Sorry about the motorcycle. But sorry about the motorcycles. But yeah, spending money on furniture right now that you might only be able to use for a few months when you're bringing in 30% of what you used to bring. It's kind of an unreasonable expense. So I got lucky. That's kind of the other reason why I was holding off. I was like, man, people see I'm spending thousands of dollars on furniture. They're going to be like, I don't feel so bad for that guy anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm struggling, so show the struggle. But, now we got this furniture. It's a big help, and it's taking care of those missing bar stools that we're probably not going to have back till maybe September.
So there are places that are taking advantage, and there are places that aren't. I know there's a few places that still aren't open that I haven't seen even doing takeout. Do you think we're going to see a lot of casualties?
You're already starting to see it. I know there's a couple places in Boston that have closed and have been open for 15 plus years.
I know Great Scott's in that's Somerville. I can't remember exactly where they're located. Yeah. There was a big thing about like trying to save them, and
I feel like they were closing forever though. Like, yeah, I remember getting an email about them like 3 years ago that they were closing. But you're going to see those on the cusp places. I think you're going to see go like the mom and pop places that it's like they're thinking about retirement and they're want a couple more years just to say fuck it. Like, so you're going to see that. I think.
There's some relatively new places downtown Plymouth that I have not seen a peep from, like opening or takeout or anything like that. Because I've been really trying to spread the love around, trying to make sure that I get takeout from everywhere. And then there's other places that I'm already starting to hear rumors being like, oh, I heard this place isn't open. I heard that place isn't opening. And they're established places. They're not,
Yep.
It's weird because the places that you would think, places that have been down here for a while, have big bankrolls, usually are like, there's a couple places in town that have been here for a while. One of them might be behind me right now. And they weren't really open for takeout. They didn't do much. And I almost wonder if the places are so big and if they have so much money that it costs too much just to turn the lights on and put staff in there that it wasn't worth it to do just takeout, I'm pretty sure that's the case because I don't see those places closing.
Well, the place you're talking about has multiple locations, so it's like they can kind of consolidate and be like, okay, we're going to focus on our busiest location. And
absolutely, absolutely, and that's, it is what it is. That's the way to adapt. You can share your staff. You can I don't know exactly how they did it, but the smaller, newer places, when this first started, man, I thought we were going to lose most of them. Honestly, I don't know. I didn't understand how anybody was going to be able to survive 2 months doing just takeout when we pretty much all of us make money off of our alcohol, and I'm since then we've had a lot of assistance between the Chamber of Commerce, between the, the federal grants and loans and the PPP loan and disaster relief loan. And I think a lot of restaurants and bars got all that after that first wave. When they did the second wave, and all the corporations got their share, we finally got to pick up the scraps, but it was enough where I don't see as many. Maybe we lose two tops that I can think of off the top of my head that won't be named, but I think we're going to pull through this, man, and I'm excited for that because I won't be as busy if I lose half my neighbors. I'll tell you that right now. We're a destination town. We're not a
no one's coming down there if it's all boarded up windows and stuff like that. It's not good for anyone.
Exactly. So I'm excited because I knew from the second we were gonna be fine. But there were a few other places in town I was extremely nervous about. Places that I hold near and dear to my heart, both because I like drinking there, but because they're good neighbors and I think they help my business. So I think we'll be all right.
So what was the key? Like, what do you think? Do you think it was the loans itself? Do you think it was the community? Kind of. Maybe I go out to eat once a week, but during this, maybe I got takeout 2 or 3 times a week. Like, what was the saving grace?
The answer is yes. Yeah, dude. It was, I think, above all else for us, because I can really only speak for myself, was the clientele kind of coming through and supporting us during takeout and kooky weird shit that we were trying to do with the restrictions that we had. We I mean, we were also, as business owners, we were very careful with our money going into this. And it wasn't because we thought there was going to be some sort of viral infection. So I don't want anybody putting me on trial. But we've just always been conservative and prepared for the worst if something were to happen to the building or whatever. So we were prepared. But definitely the encouraging part was the clientele coming through, spending money on takeout, going outside their comfort zone, supporting us through this, sharing my shit on social media. And then definitely the loans. The Chamber of Commerce in town has been unbelievable. The town itself in town, the people, the selectmen and all that have really just kind of streamlined everything to make everything easy for us to kind of function outside of the usual protocol. And the loans definitely helped. I mean, we don't quite know if we can and how to use it yet still, which is wicked convoluted and ambiguous, but it did help. Like, we know we have it, and if we don't get forgiven, it's just a 1% interest. So, I mean, I think every business in town is super thankful about that, because I know for a fact maybe there's a couple of businesses, like Dan was saying, that were on the fringe of closing before all this, and that loan may have actually fucking resurrected them, which is crazy.
Sure. I think you'll see, too, the places that really, thrive's not the right word, but I don't have a better one to use, is the ones that really kind of put thought into what they were doing. They thought outside the box, like what Jordan was saying, is he made sure all the Instagram stuff. If you weren't trying, you just said, fuck, I do takeout, you weren't going to come out of this ahead of time. I know, for us, we jumped on, being in Boston, we jumped on every single delivery service we could. So we kept all that business coming in. We are very lucky to have a regular crowd, crowds of regulars that came. There's people that ordered food from us every single day. So that helps. And we made sure we try to give back by giving people some of our hats, some free food here and there. We'll take care of them as we can. But the people that really didn't kind of think outside the box and stuff, those are the ones that probably struggled the most. Like you said with Sukasa, look at them. They put double their capacity through all this stuff, and they're going to do well. But the ones that just said, oh, we're open again, they're probably not going to do well. And that's going to be the roughest spots to go through. So
what have you guys been seeing from your, vendors and landlords and liquor suppliers? And have they been kind of more flexible than normal and just trying to help you guys stay in business? Because it's one of those, if I'm a liquor vendor, I'm probably doing okay because people are drinking their faces off. But if I say I'm a produce guy, I'm struggling as much as everybody else. But me keeping you in business is only going to help me in the long run.
We're lucky we own our building, so that's a huge help for us. And so we didn't have to worry about a landlord begging for rent. And I know there's a couple of places in Plymouth where they did not have kind landlords that were kind of knocking down their door. But for distributors and stuff, I didn't really see anything. Our beer reps, our beer distributors came and picked up all the old beer that we couldn't sell and gave us credit for it, which they probably didn't have to do, but it'll go a long way. And I think we're thankful for that. But produce and stuff, we were going through food and stuff. So I don't know. I'm probably not a good person to speak on that.
I can touch on the food aspect, and I think it goes into the same theme Dan was saying about, the people who were able to sort of not give up and adapt and overcome didn't have much loss besides, people walking through the door and spending money. But inventory wise, so what I did was, I had a shitload of produce in the house. It was, let's not forget, we were on St. Patrick's Day weekend when this happened. So I probably had more beer in my cooler and more food in my fridge than I have all year, other than Thanksgiving maybe. So I wasn't going to let that shit sit there and rot. I turned it into soup. I turned it into egg roll specials. I sold out of, or I froze it if it's something I was able to freeze. And I gave it away. I did whatever I could. I sent my staff home with food. I know Karl did the same thing, which is awesome, because you couldn't go to the supermarket or there was nothing in the supermarket at first, but nothing went to waste. And I think there were a lot of proactive restaurants that sort of did that. And the beer, to Dan's point as well, the beer companies picking up that old beer. The first phone call I got was from friend of the show, Kenny Semkin. It was the day after we got told we were going to shut down. And Kenny goes, you got 2 fresh kegs down in your cooler for St. Patrick's Day week. I'm going to come pick those up and sell them at the brewery as growlers because he could still do that. and came and grabbed him up the stairs himself and credited me. And I'll never forget that. It was the first phone call I made as soon as I found out I can open out. I'm like, I'm putting all second wind on. Now, granted, he's not kegging beer right now. But when he is, let me tell you, he's going to have – because it's just that community. And then, we got the big distributors down here that did the right thing as well. It took some of them a little bit longer to come around. But they don't – like Dan said, they didn't have to do that. Like, that's a loss for them. But they understand that a keg of beer to them, I'm sure from a bunch of accounts, is a lot less of a hit than it is for us just rotting in our coolers. And that's greatly appreciated. There was a lot of stuff like that where you never expected to get the kind of help you did, and then you realize that these even bigger companies that you work with have your back, which was awesome.
Well, it's true. You're going to remember those people that helped you out in this time, and you're going to remember the ones that didn't. So those guys had a lot of foresight going into this, because if you didn't do the right thing, and I don't know if that was the right thing or not, but like, you're going to be less apt to do business with someone that said, hey, give me my money now. I don't care about you and your needs and stuff like that. So it's already a tough world out there for them because there's so many different companies to work with. And I think that's a huge reason for them to do it. And whatever, it's still the right thing to do. So big ups on them.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's just smart business for the future. Because it's like, for whatever reason, if they have to raise their costs, say, 2 years down the road and they have to raise their costs, if it's that guy that was like, where's my money? And he's raising his costs, you're going to be like, well, do I need to do business with this guy? Where if it's someone like Kenny, you're like, yeah, man, I get it, whatever. Because, you had my back. I'm not going to bitch that you have to raise costs because of, natural business expenses and whatnot.
Exactly. Great point. I didn't even think about that too. Because down the line, I know I'm going to have to raise some prices on the food just because I'm paying more for it. Bottom line, and I got to make up a little bit, and it's costing me more money to be in operation. I got to pay for disposable shit. I got to pay for sanitizer. I got to pay to have this place professionally cleaned. Which I was always doing, but now it's a little different. It's costing a little bit more money because there's more to be done. My staff even, I'm going to have to, pay a little bit more. Hazard pay, shit like that to get them off unemployment. So everything's going to go up. It's going to ultimately hit the consumer. But I have no problem with that because they did the right thing. That's everybody did the right thing.
So we made it out of this if people were just all for themselves in that. So
yeah,
100%.
So I have two questions, and I'm not sure which one I want to ask first, but I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to look into my crystal ball and look into the future. And like Jordan was saying, like, if we can show that we're adults, that we can have these couple of outdoor seatings, maybe it can, progress into the future. And, we're humans. We're even if we, on our best behavior, try not to take a mile when we're given an inch, there's going to be that day where someone's going to be having a couple of beers at Speedwell and see someone across the street at New World Tavern and be like, I'm going to go talk to so-and-so for a quick second. I'll be right back. And walk across the street with a drink in their hand. Or do you foresee a crackdown? Is that something that you're already kind of, I don't know the layout where Dan is, but like, do you foresee having to like police people from like walking off with drinks or, being like overly rowdy? Is that like a concern?
Yes. And I'll tell you right now, that's a concern when there's not a pandemic and we don't have an outside patio because they walk outside with drinks when they shouldn't. But we have really good door staff. And their job right now is pretty much make sure people don't walk outside with booze and make sure they're not breaking the rules that we were given. So it's 6 people at a table. You have to be seated the whole time. You have to have a mask on when you're not at your table, all that. And they're pretty much babysitting people right now. And that's unfortunately what we have to do, but people start drinking and they don't remember that they were just locked in their house for 3 months, and there's a reason why we have these rules. And
I'm guilty, man. Like I was at Speedwell and I went to the bathroom and on the way back I swung by a table with Karl and Sarah and I was like, "Hey guys," they're like, "You can't get a chair. You can't stand there." I'm like, "Oh, sorry," and I'm like, "I'm going back to my table."
It's so weird, man. I did it a couple times too. I love one of my favorite things to do is work the room when I'm actually here and there's people here. But I like to go around and talk to everybody because half the restaurant's usually filled with people that I know. And I did it the other day. I'm the guy who's been pounding my chest and saying we got to follow the rules and be strict, and I just not even thinking. Went around to touch the tables and had my mask. Like, I had it on, but I had it under my chin. So, I'm gonna mute Big Truck coming by.
It's wild to go do that because one, you have a mask on, so you can't really talk to people in masks.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have cloth masks. I know Jordan's got the same kind of mask, and it's like you said, you want to go touch the room. If you're working, you can, but like it's not the same. Like you can't sit there and talk to someone like with a muffled voice and all that.
Right. And I think my actual like real point to my question was like, say next year, the towns and cities are like, oh, you guys did a fine job with the outdoor seating, and hopefully COVID won't be a concern next year. Hopefully, and say we're sitting out in front of Speedwell, where Jordan is sitting now, and we see a friend sitting out on the patio at San Diego's, and not even just innocently not thinking, just go walk over and you're standing there with your drink on the sidewalk talking to someone at the San Diego patio, and are police going to start hassling people? How much is that on the restaurant? How much is it on San Diego's? Where they're so close together, I could see it being, and just innocently being like, oh, I was just coming over here for a second. I mean, like, you can't have a drink. So I could foresee some issues, but I'm just curious.
It's going to be like all who catches you. Like, if you got the right guy, and the time he's going to tell you, he's going to give you that warning. He'll probably yell at the person doing it.
Yeah.
If that guy's in a bad mood, or you get the liquor commission coming by and they see someone do it, you're going to get fucked. Like, that's.
I'll be honest with you, and there's a lot of gray area still because we made this happen so quick, at least in Plymouth, that the licensing, fire, the police, the building department, the Department of Public Works have all been they've been on their shit, but they're busy. First of all, they can't cover every square inch down here and make sure everybody's following the rules. But they're also flexible a little bit to a degree. If they can see that you're putting forth an honest effort to control the crowd, do the right thing, and they're not going to come down on you. They're going to say, hey, like, give you a little nudge and be like, hey, you can't be blocking that curb cut because handicapped people need to be able to get up the ramp. Or, people can't be standing while drinking outside. I've seen a couple of those. I've seen people, another thing, you can't smoke, you can't have pets. You know what I mean? So, like, they just send out a quick email and say, hey, listen, guys, we know this is a trial and everything, but just a reminder, like a friendly reminder, no dogs, no smoking, no standing while drinking, make sure the masks are on while people are standing. And they're giving us a little bit of a longer leash, I think, in the interim.
I'm just thinking about how many rules I've already broken. I'm like, shit.
Oh, I know. And that's the thing, because it's just so unnatural for all of us, being from Massachusetts, where there isn't there's a law against open containers and stuff where you go to other towns or cities, especially tourist ones, where, like New Orleans or something, and you can just fucking rage. Vegas, you can just rage. So, yeah, it's different from all of us, but they haven't been I mean, we all have liquor liability insurance. We all have, and we had to cover our areas in order to do outdoor seating. So the liability is on us. It's not so much on them. And, I think they're giving us a little bit of a trial error now. If we fast forward to next year and they allow us to do this outdoor seating again, you bet your ass it's going to be a lot more strict. It's not going to be, because this is a charity. This is sort of we're giving you a chance to make back some money you've lost because A, we want your tax money, and B, it's the right thing to do. But next year, when it's a privilege, more of a privilege,
yeah,
it's going to be more of what you're picturing, Andy, where people are a little bit more comfortable, a little bit louder, a little bit more belligerent because it's not during COVID. The rules are going to be less. People aren't going to be wearing masks. We all do the right thing. And then that means people are going to get a little bit more fucking rowdy.
Well, I don't know how much you follow what's going on like outside of Plymouth. And if you probably don't even have time to hear this, but last week, the North End's, all their bars had to have a big Zoom meeting because with the liquor licensing board and someone from the mayor's office, because they're all breaking so many rules. So they are watching that stuff. And we ended up getting like emails saying like they're coming to spot check everything like that. Like, so they were very lenient, and then until they can't be. I think someone got hit by a car, fucking walking around the street.
Oh, jeez.
Full ripping butts up on the patio, like stuff like that. Like, there was people just walking around the restaurants, like crowded up and stuff like that. And the North End's in Boston, if you've been there, you'll know. If you haven't, it's like awesome Italian food, but the restaurants are the smallest fucking places you've ever been. They're not built for 6 feet apart and social distancing. So
right.
It's understandable that they were breaking those rules, but we're doing our best, and you kind of got to do what they say. So hopefully,
yeah, that's a great point.
Looking at the Zoom conferences, and hopefully we don't either. But
well, it came up. It came up earlier because Jordan mentioned it, and Dan, you're kind of touching on it. Is that Massachusetts is one of the few places that is kind of flattening the curve, doing the right thing, on the uptick, and that's why we're able to do things like, have indoor seating and. Well, there's other places that, I'm not saying that I want to get a handsaw and saw Florida off and let it, float out into the ocean, but
Bugs Bunny, baby.
I don't not want to do it either. Sorry for our listeners in Florida, but
coronavirus going around.
It's not just Florida, it's Texas, it's Arizona. I know Florida's the easy one to pick on because they're the redheaded stepchild of they're the armpit of the United States of America, but there are other places too that just
Arizona's bad.
Didn't take this seriously. They make us all look bad, man. It sucks.
Well, it's all the people that came, all the states that came out. I'm like, we don't have it. Come on up, we're open. Like all three of those states were trying to push for professional sports to come back there because they opened up everything so quick. And I know following people, like different people online, I saw tons of people flock to Florida, flock to Georgia, flock to North Carolina, flock to Texas and California and all that stuff. Like,
but is there a concern? And see, this is my thing, is like, hey, you guys should be doing the right thing. You ignore it. You don't do the right thing. Now you're the epicenter for the outbreaks. That's on you. That's your fault. But Plymouth and somewhat to Boston, we attract tourism.
Yep.
Right. And I kind of want to be like, well, stay in your own damn state. Like, and not to be like an us and them, because I feel like, we're all, we should be looking out for everybody, but I really don't want to see tourism on an uptick this year. I kind of want people to stay where you came from and let everybody kind of get caught up. Is there kind of like that kind of vibe or?
Yeah, definitely right now, man. Most recent too. I mean, everybody's in a different situation. So I'm real, especially during all the shit we've gone through in the last 3 months. Painting a broad stroke doesn't help anybody. That's
no, and I am. It's hard to kind of like ask a question like that and not be kind of broad strokey,
right?
But,
right. Well, at the same time, like, yeah, I mean, there's an element. We get a lot of Massachusetts is known for snowbirds. You know what I mean? Going down to Florida, coming back in the summer. I'm nervous for them because they're the most at risk too. So there's a big fire truck coming by. Ready, guys? Hey, they took the foot off the gas pole.
You should have done like the little horn thing.
It wasn't a guy I recognized. They got a lot of new firemen. I was totally going to do it if it was Matt DeMeo, but it wasn't. But yeah, so like those people that shouldn't be traveling anyway. So I'm hoping that maybe just kind of by default, not to overgeneralize, but the people that go down to Florida for the winter are also the people that are probably most at risk and probably won't be traveling back up here. But that being said, I mean, New York's finally trying to figure it out too. Looking good, Paulie. Sorry, I had to. But yeah, you get my point. I don't see tourism coming. It's just too much of a shit show to travel right now. Did you see the shit about airports, like Delta and shit, opening back up, American Airlines?
Oh yeah, like full flights. Yeah,
going full flights. That's ridiculous.
And one of them, I can't remember who it was, when they initially said they were doing it, they were like, no mask required, and there was such like a backlash that they're like, okay, wear a mask.
Right,
that's a fucking petri dish.
Oh my god, yeah.
A mile above the earth. And you know what's funny about that is that goes to show you the culture difference between how hard, because I feel like everybody up here is, and I say up here, it's not just states above the Mason-Dixon line, so I don't want to get into that. But in Massachusetts, as far as I know, everyone's trying so hard. We are. And we're taking it seriously. And some people say we're overgoverned and shit, but look, it's working, right? And the culture down in some of other states, California's included, they're not taking it as seriously, or they're rushing this shit. And airlines are nationwide; they're worldwide, right. So they're trying to apply a broad stroke, like me and Andy were saying, and it's just not. that's not the smartest way to approach this. Like, going on vacation and traveling isn't it's a luxury. We shouldn't be able to do that at our leisure right now. Not yet. We're not there yet.
You know, it's funny, Jordan, you're talking about, being over-governed, and I immediately thought of being a parent, and you can get this, and Dan's got dogs and, well, fish maybe someday.
Fish has got you. He's got
But it's like, how many times when you have your kid, you're like, no, you can't have ice cream for dinner, and no, you can't do this. And it's, the kid gets pissed off, but it's like you're doing it for a beneficial reason that they don't understand yet. And I just feel like that's really how the public, and again, this is super broad strokey, but how the public has been, where like the government's like, you need to wear a mask, and the general public is like, well, I don't wanna.
Yeah, the pouty kid. Well, I wouldn't say the general. I would say for the most part, in my experience,
the loudest part of the
loudest part.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. There's always that one kid or two kids in class that's always an asshole and doesn't do what the teacher says. You know what I mean? And granted, we're adults. We don't want to be told what to do, but we're also not experts. I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't work for the disease control center. So I'm going to do what the disease control center does, because it's a $6.5 billion program, and they're trained to handle this. I am a restaurant owner. I will tell you how to fry chicken. I'm not going to tell you how to fight a fucking global pandemic.
You don't have $6.5 billion, Jordan?
I am not worth $6.5 at the moment. So. I haven't gotten a paycheck in fucking 4 months. So.
Oh, this is so weird. I can hear the police siren through Jordan's out my window.
I figured, oh yeah, right, because you're right down the street. I figured with the outdoor theme that having some outdoor noise would.
No, I like it. I think it's great. So, and I'm sure you guys won't mind this. And as we're talking about this, we're like, oh, we're doing great, and I'm kind of like fuck Florida, and we're very New England centric. And we can't not be. That's just where we're from. So I'm going to kind of throw this out there to our listeners. Like, are we doing a fair representation? That's why we take questions. That's why we have the email. But, if you're a restaurant worker or owner, say in Florida or Georgia or Arizona or Colorado, or I don't care where you are, hit us up. We'll get you on the show, and we'll, find out what it's like for you guys and how it's going there. And, so don't be afraid. And,
yeah, we're doing this all on Zoom now, so you don't have to travel. Please don't travel up from Florida to come up on our podcast.
Yeah. Don't.
But we might be off. We might be way off, because obviously, and back to Andy's point about the toxicity of social media, like, of course, the only news you see is that's shared is the bad news, right? Because that's the shit that gets clicked. But I'm sure there are parts of Florida that are doing it right. I'm sure it's not everybody, and it's overgeneralized, and same with Texas and Arizona and California. And I get it, but from our perspective down here, we're starting to see positive numbers, but in classic form, we're so nervous that we're going to see another peak because we're seeing it happen everywhere else, that we're super defensive. And we're proud. We're proud, too. We are always proud New Englanders. We're always proud Massachusetts, south of Boston residents. But, we're scared. We don't want this shit to come back. And we feel like we're doing a good job. We feel like we're, I don't want to say invincible, but like we got it figured out almost, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that at all. I got my restaurant back open. That's the last thing I want to happen. And if that means I lose a couple friends down in Florida that I haven't made yet, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and we don't, and we're not trying to be douchey about it, and we may sound like we are, but it's like that's our perspective, and we want to hear another perspective. So
correct. I don't care.
And unless you're like, oh, it's all fake, then you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, right. I hate that shit.
A tourist town now. Like, I wonder what the Cape's going to be like this year, because Cape Cod, Massachusetts relies on 3 months out of the year to make all their money, and then it goes to be in a ghost town. And I've heard places aren't opening. The hotels and bigger restaurants rely on overseas staff to come.
Right, yeah.
They're not coming this year. They might not come next year. So, like,
they were already having trouble for the past 3 years trying to get people, because some of them were like, I'm not going over that country.
Yep. Amen. Yeah, right. I didn't even think about the Cape, because it really is. I mean, there's only two ways to get there. You know what I mean? Fucking driving down the highway or taking a flight there from across the country. Like, yeah, and they really are 3 months out of the year, huh? I mean, I'll be honest with you, and if I'm off on this too, if you live on the Cape and you want to chime in, but I feel like the Cape has been kind of on a downturn for the last few years too. They've been struggling before this, so I'm curious to see what kind of happens over there between there was a pandemic before this over on the Cape. There was heroin. You know what I mean? It was like, so, they're going to take a pretty big hit. I think the Cape's going to take a long time to build back up. Unless, other than Provincetown's crushing it. But everybody else on the way, like Hyannis, all that, I hear it's a shit show.
Well, they do a good job of hiding all the drug people during the summer.
In Provincetown?
No, not Provincetown. The Cape in general. If you go to the Cape in the summer, you won't see a single person on heroin because they fucking lock them and hide them away. You go there off season, it's like The Walking Dead. So
yeah,
probably like that all year.
Pretty rough
because there's no, I don't know. So that's why I want to know, like, what's tourist season gonna be like? Because Plymouth's like on that borderline where it's still busy all year round, but there's a little bit of a tourist aspect.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And there's also, it's not like we are immune to the drug epidemic over here as well, but I think Plymouth's been doing a pretty good job with that overall. Better than when I first came into town 7 years ago, but.
And Dan mentioned The Walking Dead, and Fish looks like a fucking vampire the way he's lit.
He hasn't seen the sun, dude.
So, Fish, what is it like at the grocery stores right now? I was there. I went grocery shopping yesterday. I am so excited that bottle redemption is open. So I was able to return bottles for like 3 months.
Just pay your rent with that?
I almost could. And, things seem to be stocked much better. And, has anxiety released a little bit? Is things feeling a little more normal?
Yeah, but at the same time, it got a little more frustrating because as soon as Governor Baker announced that there was a reopening plan, people decided the rules just didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So all of the one-way aisles and don't bring your kids and everything that we kind of leaned on to try to keep people like socially distanced and behaving. Jesus Christ, Jordan.
Did you hear that?
I can't hear it, but all I see is like the motions.
Yeah.
Just try to be quiet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, quiet and Jordan just doesn't happen. It's fine.
I'm going to get him a sign that says "Quiet." I'm doing the Bar Talk podcast.
I almost put one up, but
not really for any other reason than to just advertise the podcast.
Right.
That's right. Kind of the whole point of all this. But yeah, the day he announced it, all of a sudden it's like you get people bringing their kids, and it's like just if you left them at home yesterday, leave them at home. It's
funny you say that.
As soon as they announced an ending, they just decided, well, we're fine now. And it's like no.
Right. When we went to opening inside, people are now sitting inside and they think there's no more rules. So.
Yeah, as soon as it's the whole thing where you don't want to, you give them an inch and they just take the whole flipping field. Yep. It's like, no, guys, just the reason we're doing this is because we're doing well. Please, will of God, just
we're trying to get back.
Keep doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't just Don't pull a Florida and just ignore all the rules and then wonder why everything went to shit.
It's kind of like that, you got to finish your course of antibiotics. You start to feel better, you stop taking them, and then you get sick right again.
Yeah, I was the parachute's worked halfway down. Fuck it, I can take it off now. It's...
Think of it like a plane runway. You can't take off until a certain point, so you got to go the whole runway.
I'm nervous because my wife has developed some serious agoraphobia because she hasn't gone to a store since this started. And we were talking about it last night because she's genuinely, as things are opening up, afraid that she's developed some sort of social complex. And she was always kind of a little shy anyway, at least she's not as open as I am anyway. But she's going to go to Target for the first time in 4 months tomorrow. And I swear to God, you think she was doing her master's exam or it was her first day of school ever or something. She's super, super nervous. And then hearing Fish is up his grocery report, which we should make a thing, by the way. The grocery report with Fish, sponsored by, and but I'm nervous because people aren't following the fucking rules anymore, man.
It was day one. It's we're going to, when they announced that we're going to start doing, outdoor seating, it's just all of a sudden, Nobody follows one-way aisles. Everyone's in there with, like, 5 kids. I was like, you didn't have kids when this started. Where did they come from? They're not yours.
You know, but I think Jordan touched on a really interesting thing, and I don't have any kind of statistics, so this is just me, like, personally. But I foresee a lot of people developing, mental issues because of this. Because, it's like generally you can, if you're anxious about something, the more often you do it, the less anxious you get. So if you're anxious about being out in public, or you have developed that, and it's so easy to not go out in public and just get worse and worse and worse.
Absolutely. And that is, it sucks. It's magnifying all that stuff. But, I mean, it'll take time like anything else. I think my wife will be fine. I mean, Target's a good place to start.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those, if she feels uncomfortable, she can just leave.
Yeah.
Right. I just don't want it to be one of those situations where, all she knows that's been going on in these stores is basically what I've told her or what she's seen on Facebook. And from what Fish is saying and what I've seen, people are really kind of throwing fucking caution at the wind, which sucks because she's already nervous as it is for multiple reasons. And then she's going to be back in the store and, arrows on the floor, people wearing masks and people not following the fucking rules.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is that I think through this whole thing, I've maybe seen 2 people not wearing masks.
Nice.
Right.
Like the one thing, like that is the one saving grace, is that everybody's got one on.
I think that's why Massachusetts is crushing it.
Yeah.
How's it been for you, Jordan, with people wearing masks? Do you have to police it more or what? Like,
no real big issues. We had one guy bitching yesterday. Meggie put him in his place. We haven't seen any of those fake, like, I have a medical condition card. But I'm locked and loaded for that one. As soon as someone comes out with that, I have a medical condition, I can't wear a mask, I'm going to say, if you have a medical condition where you can't wear a mask for 5 seconds while you walk towards the table or towards the bathroom, then you shouldn't be leaving the house in the fucking first place. And you can dine at home. So I'm locked and loaded for that one. But no, it hasn't been too bad. I think it's been more along the lines of what me and Andy were talking about, where people just kind of space out.
Yeah.
There's no malicious sort of, I think people are happy we're open and they don't want to get it taken away again. How about you?
it's more like no one fights you about it, but like I've noted, the longer we've been open, the less people are wearing masks. Like, we have people to walk up to the table like without masks on. We keep masks on, but like you still got to wear it. And, like they fight with you a little bit on it, or they're like, "Oh, I left my mask at my table," all that. Like,
right.
So it's like kids. You just got to remind them to keep doing it, but like.
No big issues though, right? Like no bouncer dragging somebody out or whatever.
No, we haven't kicked anyone out. I mean, we're trying not to. We don't want to kick people out for that, but like, it's a constant reminder to people. I think, especially my door staff's getting a little sick of hearing, "Hey, put your mask on," from themselves.
I mean, it is what it is. I actually, so I scored a little bit of like the disposable masks in case my staff like got their homemade ones or whatever, and I ordered them some too. Excuse me, but I was saying, we had a couple people come in and they put like their T-shirt over their face, and I'm like, that's not wearing a mask, man. Like, you know what you're doing. If you knew to put your T-shirt over your face, you should have brought one, and they're not that hard to really find anymore. You can make one. You can put a bandana on. You can put a shirt over your face. I don't care. Like, not the one you're wearing, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So we were thinking about charging a quote unquote asshole tax. So I have about 200 disposable masks that are just in case. Someone has a wardrobe malfunction, my staff forgets it, whatever. But I'm going to charge $5. If someone comes in and they're putting their shirt over their face that they're wearing, I'm going to be like, no, that's not acceptable. And if you want to come in and dine, you're going to pay $5 for this mask I paid, $1 for. And sorry, that's just you being unprepared and disrespectful. And we're going to charge you some money for that. So that's kind of the way I'm going to approach it. I'm going to see how this week goes. We haven't had too much of that as an issue. But if we see that as a constant sort of theme, people coming in and expecting just to run to their table or put their shirt over their face, I'm like, no, I'm just taking this shit seriously, man.
Yep. You just don't want to be closed. That's the thing. We don't want to be closed again. So
yeah.
Nope. And I don't want any of my staff members getting sick. And that's the other thing too, is because even if the state doesn't close us back down, if one of my kids gets sick here, I have to close in general anyway, because we've all been exposed. Yep. So you infect one of my staff members, I got to close for at least 2 weeks and quarantine everybody. fuck that, dude. I'm not dealing with that shit because some asshole, you know, wants to pound his chest and cry like a baby because we made him put his diaper on. Like, I'm not doing that. It's just not worth it to me. It's blood money to allow someone that's that ignorant to sit at one of my tables and drink a beer. You know, it's just not worth it to me.
Fish, you heard it. Don't forget your mask or Jordan's charging you $5 tonight.
It's true. I'm gonna,
okay.
man.
I happen to know that there should be a mask waiting for me when we get down there.
Yeah, but you're relying on me, and I'm kind of a chucklehead.
I also have my own fucking mask. I'm not stupid.
Every pair of pants or shorts I put on has a mask in its pocket just when I walk around. They're like, oh,
no,
yeah.
I find a mask like in pockets and being like, where the hell did I have that mask? What was I wearing? Like, what jacket was I wearing?
Like,
So, yeah.
in my car.
So guys, that's last call, and I feel like this was pretty positive. Like we've been struggling to be positive lately because of things aren't positive. But
So does that mean you're gonna not record this episode again?
I'm gonna delete it as soon as we're done.
Right?
No, it feels good to like have a you know, I wouldn't say it's uplifting, but it definitely felt, you know, it didn't have.
I think this is the first time that you guys have seen a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like this is you're not just in the middle of nowhere. You can see like progress, which is
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, which
and I tell you what
is a huge step over where we've been.
What a
100%.
difference just going out and seeing people and, you know, being able to say hi. And, you know, I ran into a friend of the show, Andrew Botteri, the other day. And he was like, hey, we're doing this chalk thing, and just kind of like a moment of networking where I'm like, oh, my God, life is still a thing.
Yep.
It's the little things, man, that you miss. It's so stupid. Like, someone dropped a glass and broke it the other day, and it was like music to my ears. It's just like hearing a glass being
You heard that,
broken.
Fish? We're breaking all the glasses tonight.
Mazel tov.
How excited are you to change a keg that someone didn't change the night before yet? Like, there you go. It's the little things.
Yeah.
I don't get mad anymore, man. I'm just like, it's just happy to have the old drama. The drama I'm used to, not the drama we've been dealing with. You know what I mean? It's so much better.
Well, hopefully we found a little bit of zen from all of this, kind of being, you know, that, what the hell is that saying? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. It's like, well, you know, at least it's not 2020.
Right. That's true.
You know?
That's true. 2020 vision's going to have a different meaning after
Oh,
this.
yeah, because you're going to be like, oh, my God, I had lost a finger, but at least it's not 2020.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have laughed. I've gotten a couple people tell me, like, complain about being tired and all that. Like, and the shifts was like, listen, you've had 3 months off. I don't feel bad for you at all.
Right?
I'm the least sympathetic person to anyone right now about saying they're tired or they don't want to work tonight. And I'm like, well, you've had 3 months not to work, so.
Oh, I can't wait to have to, like, set my alarm and, like, get up every morning. And it's so weird. I think the thing that I'm, like, really looking forward to is, like, that night where I was out too late and drank too much and still have to drag my ass out and go to bed, go to work, you know? I mean, it's like that's when life is back to normal.
I've been doing that the last 100 days, so I still fucking show up every day, even though no one else does. But actually, the least I've worked, I think, in the last 3 months has been the last week because most of my staff's back.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I almost feel guilty about it. Like I should be doing sanding something or taking something apart, but all that shit's done, man. My crew's back, my squad's back. I can go back to sitting at the top of the pyramid and doing nothing, which is awesome. Can't wait.
All right, guys, that's last call. We're gonna go around the table and the outdoor seating patio table with the nice umbrella that Jordan's at, and do our last call where we can plug whatever we want. And let's start with Dan Mahoney.
Hey, Dan Mahoney, thanks for listening. I'm glad we finally got to talk about good things and not just doom and gloom. Probably really the thing I had to plug is come check out our patio in South Boston. Well, we still have it, so we probably have 30-something tables. We tend to go on a wait, but we are taking reservations, so give us a call and we'll try to hook you up. Unless you're Andy, then I'll make you wait 4 hours even if there's no tables.
Or unless you're out of state. If you're out of state.
If you're out of state, you're waiting 14 days no matter what at this point.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely come check us out.
Fish, over to you.
All right. I am going to recommend the movie I watched yesterday.
Okay.
I finally got around to watching Knives Out, which I had not realized was a locally filmed movie.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Oh, yeah, no, until like 3 minutes in, and all of a sudden I'm seeing like Norfolk PD, and it's like, oh. Yeah, so the whole thing was filmed in like Easton and Medway and Marlborough, and it's all a super locally set film. And it's also a really freaking good whodunit with an amazing cast. And honestly, after The Last Jedi, right? Second new Star Wars?
Sure.
It's the same director, so I wasn't really sure what I was going to get, but it was so fucking fun. Like, it was a really good, like, whodunit, dark comedy. I had a really good time, and it's streaming on Amazon Prime, and I can't help but recommend it.
Oh, is it really on Amazon Prime now?
Yeah, it is on Amazon Prime right now, which is
I'll have to check it out.
why I watched it. I'm like, shit, I should really see this now. And, yeah. I will give away absolutely nothing. It was a really good movie with a really good cast.
Nice. Over to you, Joda.
I started watching that, like, Knives Out at, like, 11 o'clock at night one night, and realized it was a movie that I had to actually, like...
It's like 2 hours long. There's no way you're gonna... You can't just put it on in the background and hope you notice what's going on.
No.
There's a lot there.
I'm excited to watch it, and I've been trying to find time to do so, but maybe now that my staff's back and I'm bragging about doing nothing, I can actually...
Patio Knives Out.
Right. I can watch right after this podcast. That's a really good idea, actually. I am going to try to split mine into 3 and not be long-winded. So first, real quick, we talked about Sukasa a lot. They're located on 30 Main Street, right across the street from Speedwell. They're awesome owners, Aaron and Nick, and we should probably have them on.
Yeah, definitely.
We talk so much about what they did. Maybe follow it up with this one. So I'll talk to Nick after this. And
maybe we could actually record it in person on their new deck.
That would be awesome.
And I'm just saying that because their drinks are amazing.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. The other thing was, and I did it quick earlier, but during this quarantine and pandemic, let's make, like we do listener mail most of the time, or like questions or whatever. Let's do the grocery update with Fish and see if we can get a sponsor for that. That'd be fucking badass.
That'd be
I don't know
cool.
if I get a sponsor.
Long as you don't try to get it from my job.
Okay, deal. And then last but not least, I wanted to once again plug Sun's Outdoor Living and Patio Furniture. They're the ones who provided this beautiful table and the other two that I'm sitting at today. Gabriel Cruz and his wife Barbara are two amazing people. When everything is open, you can usually find them having an after-work drink at the British Beer Company. But I know Dan knows them well. Gabriel is extremely kind, donating all this furniture for me. Like I said, it's way too expensive for my personal or restaurant budget, and I look great right now. Well, not personally, but the patio looks great right now. Thanks to him, he delivered it. His kids came and put it all together. They're located at Colony Place in Plymouth. They're also located down in Naples, Florida. And they have a couple locations over in the Netherlands as well, which is where they're based out of. So Sun's Outdoor Living and Patio Furniture. If you're in the market for some beautiful, finely made outdoor furniture, please go check them out at HelloSuns.com.
Fun fact, Julian Edelman has Sun's Furniture.
Yep, absolutely. That's a great fun fact. Awesome.
All right, so that leaves it to me. Again, I'm going to extend my offer. If you are out of state, hit us up because we want to hear what's going on in your state. We'll try and get you on the show. We'll talk restaurant life, and because we really want to know what's going on. The only way to get that is to hear from outside voices. And I absolutely, honestly request that all our listeners in Massachusetts continue to wear their masks. Wash your hands. If you're sick, stay home and try to do the right thing. And you're going to do wrong. Like we were talking already, we've broken the rules, not intentionally, just because, we're chuckleheads and not paying attention. But when someone says, hey man, you need to sit down and you need to wear a mask, don't be a dick and just do it. And I'm just like Jordan. I'm going to plug like 6 things. And last but not least, I want to wish a happy birthday to Editor Extraordinaire, and it's mostly because I love calling him out and makes him, embarrassed and shit. The podcast would not happen if it weren't for Fish, because he does all the heavy lifting and sitting in front of a computer and, editing and making it sound like we kind of know what we're talking about. So thank you, Fish. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Fish.
Thanks, Fish.
We're headed out for drinks later, so it'll be fun. And so if you want to write in, bartalkcast@gmail.com. You can find us on all the social medias at bartalkcast. We have some merch coming. We have, I'm going to plug it now, even though they haven't quite shipped, but we have bartender blades. We'll probably put those up on the Facebook page. But, I mean, we're going to be giving them out to some bartenders, but, you know, they'll be there for you to purchase as well. And we should, maybe I'll start working on some Punxsutawney Phil t-shirts, too.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And I think that's pretty much it. It's been good to kind of get to see everybody again. And, you know, everyone's been so busy trying to get their places open. I just really like watching Jordan kind of like pantomime to everyone as they walk by him on his patio.
I'm having like 7 conversations right now without opening my mouth.
I can tell. It's pretty great. But no, thanks for everyone for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find us on all social medias at Inebriart, except for Instagram, we're at Inebriart6. You can email us with your questions, complaints, and whatnot at inebriart@yahoo.com. And if you're looking for more podcasts, you can check out the other podcasts on our network, Retro Redoctopus, America's Hometown Horror, and, of course, Bar Talk, Old Colony, and Inebriart Podcast, the original. So check those out and subscribe and comment so we can reach more people. And thanks for listening.